everyone. I'm Claire Davis, as you all know, and I'm back with Mental Health Chats. And we've got the series at the moment on grieving. And I'm very, very privileged to have 𝗤𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀𝘀𝗲 here. Hello, Tina. How are you going?
Hi, Claire. Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
Oh, good. So Tina is actually the founder of a charity here in Bristol called Brain Tumour Support. So Tina, could you just explain to us why you started up the charity Brain Tumour Support?
Yes, of course. Very sadly, my late husband was diagnosed with a high-grade brain tumour, and at the time, 18 years ago, when he was diagnosed, we sadly didn't receive much support from peers, and I think it was around that time that we just felt that we could have really reached out for that sort of support. So it just became really apparent that it was something that was really lacking.
So Brain Tumour Support supports the people who've been diagnosed as well as their families and their carers.
Yes, that's right. Yes, absolutely. And the vision of the charity is very much the complete family, making sure that everybody who's been affected, whether it's carers or, close family members, friends, anybody that's affected by the brain tumour receives our support.
So how do you support people? It's from diagnosis, isn't it? So what do you do as a charity to support the families?
That's right. Yeah, so we have trained brain tumour support workers, and they hold support groups, and of course at the moment it's via Zoom or Teams or something virtual rather than face-to-face. We hope one day that'll come back soon, but it's anything that the family want in their journey, because obviously it's a very difficult time. So it can be on the phone, it can be via email, anything which gives that family a feeling of being supported by somebody who isn't as close to the situation as they are.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful, Tina. And I know the work firsthand, actually, of how much work you do and how you support people who are affected by brain tumours. So Paul was Tina's husband. So can you just explain the story of how long after diagnosis Paul actually died? How long was it after diagnosis?
So we were given between 6 months and 18 months at the time when he was diagnosed with his tumour, and it was almost 18 months to the day.
Oh, bless. So that's a long journey, 18 months, a year and a half.
Yeah.
So the reason why I've asked Tina here today is to actually help those people who need to support somebody who they know who is dying and somebody who's very close to you. So Tina, what would be very interesting to hear from you is if you've got any advice for people on how do you cope when you are supporting somebody who is dying? What can you do?
Oh, it's a really hard one, isn't it? And I think it's really fair to say this whole sort of topic is a very, very difficult one, not only for those people watching, but also for me talking about it. And I think, one of the things that comes immediately to mind is the person themselves who's dying, is their dignity, Claire.
Yeah.
Because part of their journey has been acceptance or not acceptance in some cases of actually what the final outcome is going to be, and so therefore maintaining dignity for them, and that could just be the way that they're dressed, the way that they behave in public, and just being really mindful of what their experience is at that very, very difficult time as a loved one, wanting them to come across in a way that that they would feel comfortable with.
That's amazing advice, actually, and it's something that we need to almost put ourselves into their shoes and understand their body's changed, their body is changing, the way they are is changing, and this illness is really affecting them. So I love that advice on dignity. It's their dignity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
You know, the way that they interact with others, the way that they eat, the way that, you know, that things that are really important to them. And because you know them, so through the charity, we get to know the people that we're supporting. And obviously in my own personal circumstances, I love him, and I knew what was important to him. So it's finding out what's important to them so that you can help to maintain their dignity.
That's wonderful advice. Thank you for that, Tina. So that's one piece of advice. You got any other advice that you could give people?
I think the other thing, Claire, particularly with the nature of brain tumours, but it applies across the board as well, I think, is being an advocate for that person who is going through the situation that they're going through, because it's a really, it's a devastating situation, and I don't think that we can get away from that. It's terrible, and you know, coming alongside them and supporting them can often mean being their advocate. So for example, what I mean by that is being able to signpost them, being able to, you know, get access to services that they might need, that particularly if they're going through treatment or they're in a situation where they haven't got the energy, particularly if they're having radiotherapy or chemotherapy, that can really sort of zap any energy. And therefore, being that person that comes alongside them and is like, no, it's okay, I've got this. It's like, I've got this, don't worry. Or if they want their own independence, which again, because it can vary from person to person, it could well be, we can do this together.
Yeah.
We can work on this together. And one of the strap lines of Brain Tumour Support is "Together we are stronger." And I think no more does that mean something than in this situation.
Definitely. And it is a journey together, actually.
Right.
So it's having the energy as well to be their advocate, because, you know, they're zapped of energy depending on their treatment. Absolutely. But it's keeping up your own energy so that you can be their advocate and be the force of strength.
Absolutely. And I think also certainly around, you know, treatments that are available, sometimes it feels like you're almost sort of like going uphill and you're fighting against it. And sometimes if you haven't got the energy to have that fight, you need someone really close to you, or, you know, the brain tumour support worker in the charity example, to just come alongside and say, no, that's okay, we can look into that, I can do that on your behalf. Or is there a trial that you could be on that you want to be involved in? That's fine, I can find the information and I can bring that to you. And I think that together you can actually, you know, use that information and make decisions. You know, that whole sort of patient-centered care, you know, there's a real drive for that, where the patient and you know, the supporter work together very carefully to make sure that the patient is at the center of what their care plan is.
That's brilliant advice. So we've got the dignity, we've got being their advocate, and your third piece of advice for everyone?
I think very much something which I would say on a personal level, but also something which the brain tumour support worker would really say is important, is making sure that as you're supporting somebody, that you take time for yourself and that you actually look after yourself. And, you know, for me, if I can just give a personal example, when Paul was really ill, you know, I found, I don't think I need to tell your listeners and you know, how devastating it is to watch somebody that you love die. And so my in-laws came and stayed with me, and they gave me time out. So from caring for my young son and, you know, doing the school trip, what we all know, that, you know, in the morning and in the evening, it was just really important that I was allowed that time out to go and play badminton with my friends. It might have only just been an hour, but it was time out to just get exercise, clear the mind, so that you can come back and give them everything, because it's every ounce of you that gives to support that person who's dying. And I think not only mentally do you need that space to get out and see something different and do something different, you also need it, I think, just to have that space, because you're not coping with it. You're not coping with seeing them so distressed.
That's amazing advice, Tina. Thank you so much. And you've been on such a long journey. I remember when I first heard about the work that you did here in Bristol, and I was amazed at your strength and what you do. So if anyone's listening, Brain Tumour Support, there is a website, braintumorsupport.co.uk. So do get in touch with Tina, and you can donate on the website to Brain Tumour Support. They do amazing work here in the UK. So thank you. Next week, we are going to continue the journey about grieving, which is a very hard topic to talk about. We've got a lovely lady from America this time. We've had all over the world for this series. We've had Barcelona, here in Bristol, and America, and her name is Anne Allen, and she is an advanced grief recovery specialist, and she is going to talk about understanding grieving, because, you know, grieving is very, very difficult, as we know, Tina. So thank you for today, Tina, and
thank you for having me, Claire.
And best wishes, and good luck through COVID. I know it's been very, very difficult for charities through COVID, so all the support for Brain Tumour Support would be very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.